Welcome to Winds of Change. Have you ever driven past a window with a psychic sign and wondered what it would be like to have your own reading done? Our guest today, Barbara Maloney, is a psychic, energy therapist, and astrologist. She has been an astrology columnist for Vancouver-based newspaper The Review for over 10 years and has been developing her psychic gifts for over 20 years. It is with her guidance that we hope to learn more about spiritual mediums. Welcome to the show, Barbara.
Hi, Jeevie. I love being here.
Barbara, tell me, how did you begin in this line of work of psychic mediums?
Good question. I also have walked by windows and seen the sign and wondered what that was all about. I had two events that led me into more awareness, and I like them because they show the range of what happens in life. The first was very dramatic. I ignored it. The second was very small. I caught it.
Okay.
So my first one, very dramatically, I had an out-of-body experience.
Okay.
And I almost died. I was in the hospital. I had just given birth to my first child. I was madly in love with my husband. I say those things because what was interesting is I'm out of body in the hospital room. I'm looking at the crash cart, the doctors, people doing their things. And all I feel is a very calm ease of, get it together, folks, or I'm out of here.
Okay.
And to be in my physicalness, so in love, so excited to be a new mom, and to be in some kind of larger place with such calmness. But that's the one I missed. So that happened. As soon as I was fine, healthy, living, I just raised my children, did not think anything about it, did not catch that as a message. Many years later, I'm driving with the said children and my husband, and I say to my husband, honey, this is really crazy, but all my life I feel I've known something, and I don't know what I know. And that was the second window.
Okay.
Messages everywhere, messages on the car radio, messages. And so between the two of them, a profound experience of ourselves beyond our body. And then the second one, that there are messages, there are signals, woke up something dormant in me, and here I am.
Amazing. Now, Barbara, when you talk about before the hospital visit, did you see signs? Like, were there signs that you now think back and think, wow, that was a sign, but I chose not to accept it or not to acknowledge it?
Yes. I'm very empathic, which is one of the psychic tools. I sense others very strongly. I judged myself harshly for that. I thought I was opinionated, unkind, had no right to have ideas before another person has given me their history or whatever. And so the part of me that was always getting data is something I would push down. Think, when I grow up, I'm going to be nice.
Okay.
I'm not nice right now because I know things. That was a large battle inside me, that it would be okay to know that that would be a gift, not a curse.
Okay. Barbara, we hear about so many mediums when we talk about whether somebody's a psychic, whether somebody's an intuitor, somebody is a numerologist, somebody's an astrologist. What does that all mean?
I think there are several aspects. One is that there is information.
Okay.
So we have an agreement that somehow, beyond our linear lives, there is a source of information. We have time because in our everyday world, time is a linear pattern. But in the larger or metaphysical world, time is anything and everything. So some workers deal in time, and they're able to go into past life information. Some are very good at future possibilities. I'm more into the nowness.
Okay.
So we have time, and then we have pattern. So patterns and affinities.
Okay.
So a tarot reader appreciates the pattern of pictures that are the same. There's only those deck of cards, but the pictures change. The pictures change depending on what questions are asking. What part of the picture do I notice? Numerology is pattern. Astrology is pattern, looking at our personality. And what are the patterns? I love astrology. I mean, I write astrology. I love it because every group of people, every nationality has some kind of, how do we get a hold of personality? How can we know personality? So patterns. So those are the kinds of things I think we can then slot different things into. What part of those? The shaman and the shaman's journey, this is a journey through time.
Okay.
The shaman, various shamans often appreciate material mediums to journey through time. So we have crystal work, we have bones and stones and anything. Pattern is anything.
Okay. Barbara, I'm going to come to the question of what is psychic ability, so what does that mean? But just a step before that, what I would like to talk to you about just briefly is astrology. Like, I get up in the morning and look at the province and look for my astrological forecast. Now, I have to admit that when I read it, I think there's a bazillion other people that are also Cancer. So how can these 4 sentences apply to a bazillion people? So how does astrology work in that sense? Like, what would you say to a skeptic that would read those 4 sentences and say, anybody can fit into these 4 sentences?
This is true. I had an experience of writing where for almost a year and a half, every time I entered into Taurus, I got the same story. And I thought, what kind of reader are you? You know, could we not have something a little more? But Taurus was going through a deep period of stasis, of coming to a point of would Taurus choose to evolve? And it was a big question.
Okay.
It was about 6 years ago. It was a big question. So all I could do was just watch that stasis and be honest and not think, could we pretty it up with something? If I had a skeptic, I would ask them to watch 2 different signs and perceive what is that difference. Or I might ask them, give me 2 friends, give me 2 people you know, and then demonstrate how that would be evident in the words chosen. And I would ask for a little common sense. If the astrologist is saying it's a good day to meet your loved one, or your week, it's a good romantic week. It's a romantic week. And the person is thinking, I'm not looking for romance, or I'm married, so what? Let's have a little common sense. Let's have romance with our husband.
True enough. True enough. Now, Barbara, in particular, let's go now back into the question of what is psychic ability in particular?
It is the ability to move beyond our 5 senses. It's the ability to have access to a larger world. It's the ability to recognize, because if we're not recognizing, maybe we're just mentally ill. It's the ability to recognize in the moment some kind of message. Intuition is like a sister to psychicness. Intuition is a common everyday, I expect my friend to call, and she calls. There's just that kind of, it's not that different though, it's just more like everyday use psychicness. I think intuition doesn't travel as broadly as psychicness does. Intuition tends to stay at home. Give us a clue, let's go to that party, not go to that party. Don't know why, but I feel I shouldn't go. That very close to homeness. Psychicness is going to connect us more to our spiritual, larger domain.
Okay. Now, earlier you talked about linear form. What does that have to do with psychic ability? How do the 2 connect?
Good question. And actually something I care about a lot. To be psychic, to be an explorer, we're going to go into the big space. If we took it as a metaphor, we're going to climb the mountain and meet the wise man at the top, and we're going to be the student.